What's up, family? Welcome back to TBM Sports. Let's get into the picks today for college football. We have 6 games kicking off starting at noon on the East Coast, so we're going to be breaking down each and every game. I'll give you guys my best bets. There will be no rundown at the end of this video, so make sure you kind of tune in because I'll give you guys my leans and some nuggets along the way. Just for these 6 games, it'll be something easy to do. Yesterday, I didn't do a video. We have a little bit of a bug going around at the household, so I'm kind of quarantining in a section of the house where I could basically watch football, get my work done, and hopefully not get sick. But it's been an interesting week to say the least. Okay, but let's get into it. Like I said, welcome to the channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll give you guys my best bets for free. All I ask is that you guys subscribe, and also please feel free to follow me on X, join the Discord, because I know you guys have cashed some tickets, and that's where we're going to be getting into some great plays today. The Sunday NFL action, too, will be up running very shortly, and then it's college basketball and baseball before you know it, okay? So let's get into it. We are going to use Outlier to break this down, and the first game that we're going to talk about right here on the channel is the Ohio and Miami Redhawks. Little action at noon kicking off. Under. Very big, strong lean towards the under here in terms of 43.5. The weather, it's going to be kind of chilly. It will be kind of wet. Not necessarily anything you got to worry about in terms of heavy precipitation. For me, guys, though, this is a play on Miami, okay? I have a lot of action on Miami before this game even. Before today, I should say. And when it comes down to is you have to kind of look at some of the numbers behind Miami and the likes of OU. Okay, so most specifically against top 25 scoring defenses, Ohio is 1-5, 1 out of their 5 games in terms of the money line. The over has been cashing. I'm not going to be on the over. I probably would lean under. But the Bobcats also against the spread 1 out of their last 5. So clear cut. I do like kind of the defensive side of Miami. I think this is a spot where too you have to understand the history. Okay, and what I mean by history is straight up. I think OU's been in like 4 or 5 of these things, and they have not won a MAC championship. So I think they're winless. They were able to play the Miami Redhawks a little earlier in the season, and they lost 30-20. So that's something where it's, people say it's hard to beat a team twice in 1 year. I'm going to say not so fast. We saw what Boise State did last night against UNLV. I think sometimes it makes you in a better position in college football. And this game, for all intents and purposes, there's a little bit of a Maluch going. I think that, the Bobcats they've been hearing all week. They've been watching SportsCenter, listening to radio. They've been trying to tune out the news, but in my background as a player, if somebody gets in your head saying that you can't win, you let those people in your head, all bets are off. So I do like Miami. I think this is something where if you look at that first matchup, this is one of my favorite plays of the day. They were cruising in that first game, and then OU drove back, and I think I watch a lot of MAC football, full disclosure, but that's kind of where I'm at. So Miami, I think, is the better team. OU kind of has a lot of negativity in their direction, and by the numbers and recent performances, I can't see any other side to be on except Miami in this game, okay? Next, Iowa and Arizona State. I don't really have a lean on this game. All I will tell you is from a viewer standpoint, I will be watching this game closely. If you guys all know I'm a Notre Dame fan, I think that there's a good chance that they do end up playing Arizona State. And there's a good chance that I will not be in favor of that in some weird form or fashion. I'd rather play Alabama than Arizona State. Arizona State, since leaving the big Pac-12, coming into the Big 12, here they go. They're playing Matt Campbell in a big game. It's something where I think that Arizona does play this one a little closer to the vest. They have a very, very, very hard to bring down running back. And if you don't know what I'm talking about and you want to just get some background on this kid before he kind of gets into the future of his career, watch this game. Seriously, watch the Iowa State, Arizona State Sun Devils game. And if you do have if you have any kind of appreciation for the running back position, that's definitely where it's on full display, okay? For me, this is hard to back Matt Campbell in this spot. It's going to be played at a ginormous stadium, something unfamiliar, I think, in terms of bowl games, whatever. But this is different. This is a championship game played at AT&T Stadium down in Dallas. or Arlington, wherever they play it. But anyways, the moral of the story is I think the spot might be a little bit too big. We might get some clunk going in early on. I do think that the under is a very strong play for this game. We've seen historically a lot of these conference championship games been really high scoring, but I'm going to be on some unders today, and that's what we're going to talk about. I think this one's clear cut. I think that it's going to be, unfortunately, Arizona State minus 2.5. That number has climbed a little bit, but I do think that the under at 51 would be the better play for me if I was going to bet this. I'm just going to have a fun watching this one. I don't want to bet for Iowa State, but I think that's the side in terms of the what side to be on. I just don't want to bet against Arizona State, so we'll take the under. Hopefully they get it done on defense and we get a low-scoring clunker, okay? Next game, I wish this was the primetime game, as it is the rematch between SEC foes, Texas and Georgia. A little bit of a side nugget, too, I want to share with you guys. It's kind of interesting if you do go through this game, all these games yesterday, today. The one thing I've kind of picked up on is teams that are playing in these conference championship games, a lot of those teams are actually teams that have left conferences with this whole realignment going on. So very interesting. You can go down the board here, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Arizona State from the Pac-12, now playing in the championship. Georgia and Texas. We got Texas coming over, into the SEC first year. And then SMU coming into the ACC, as well as Oregon coming into the Big Ten. So very fascinating. And not only are these teams imported, but it's important to understand that all of these teams are in some form or fashion basically favored, except for the Arizona State game. All right. So really does kind of put in perspective, like all the, I guess you would say, kind of negativity towards certain conferences, how much of that actually was true throughout the years. So very interesting, kind of reflect on that. But anyways, this game with Georgia and Texas comes down to a couple things, right? Let's just go back to that one game. If you were watching me on the channel, you know what I'm talking about. I was all over. I took Georgia alternate lines, minus 9.5. We laddered Georgia up in that game. Never was really in doubt. Banged the money line. I don't understand how Georgia was that big of a money line underdog. And it comes back to my narrative about Texas. Who has Texas beaten? Okay, go through their schedule. We can do it right now if you want to. Here we go. This is kind of where you look at it. They're 11-1 overall. And if you look at strength of schedule, I mean, for Texas, kind of very interesting. This is kind of where they're 74th. Georgia comes in at 40th, and strength of victory is 18 versus Texas is 37. I actually kind of am shocked to see that's ahead of USC, because USC hasn't won too many games, but that's kind of what's, I guess you would say, probably goes more into the stat, is that USC only winning 5 or 6 games, basically having the same strength of victory as Texas, winning 11. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. I just think that, I know they've played an SEC schedule, but look at the common opponents and just get ready to throw this all out the window, right? Because they did play each other. And I think that, Texas was in some form or fashion. I think that the game plan still exists. I think that they're going to try to overcoach. But I think Kirby Smart, he kind of went outside the box. He blitzed a little bit more against Texas, something that he doesn't normally do. And I think that when you see the Bulldogs come back into this game, they're used to this, right? I think this moment might be a little bit too big for Texas. Don't be surprised if Georgia knocks them off. And then we kind of have to talk about it a little bit, because then, this is what you're going to see. But what we had in the Georgia-Texas first game was Carson Beck. I think he had a couple turnovers. Texas had a few turnovers as well. Very interesting kind of back and forth as that game went on, because it was ugly. It was ugly, and at halftime, Georgia, if they really wanted to and had a decent offense, they could have really took it to them. But that's kind of where it leads me into my best bet. We're going to go right to it. I think this is one where I'm going to trust my numbers. I'm going to trust how I feel about this game, and I'm going to trust some of the betting trends here. The under is hit in 4 of the last 6 games against top 25 defenses. Unless this one goes to 7 overtimes like it did between Georgia Tech and Georgia, I just don't see a way that Carson Beck in kind of the banged-up Texas offense going against that stout defense of Georgia. SEC defenses such as Georgia, in my opinion, and I know this is going to sound completely horrible and you guys can hate on me all you want, I just don't think that people understand they have like a light switch phenomenon. They can get up and they can beat anybody in the country on any given day. That is the difference, in my opinion, between an SEC school, quite frankly, and any other school in the country. Maybe with the exception of a Notre Dame this season, because of the way that they play. I don't say that a lot about them throughout the years, but this season in specific. I did kind of feel that way about Ohio State until kind of watched them go down their leg there in that Big Ten rivalry game between Michigan. So back to it. The third game on the card, 4 o'clock. Simply put, we're going under 51 in the Georgia-Texas game. Okay. Real quick, we're not going to talk much about it, but Marshall, very impressive ATS on the season. Okay. Very impressive. That's the next game that we're going to talk about. Simply coming in at 11-1 ATS, 9-3 straight up. Hard to bet against a team at the end of the year when they're 11-1 ATS, right? Somebody must know something, but this number has climbed with Louisiana. So a little closing line value if you do like the Thundering Herd. But for me and my money, guys, I got a pretty good teaser within Louisiana money line live from last night. So we're going to be taking the Cajuns. I think they're the better team. I think that we get a little bit of staff turnover. I think this is the game where the head coach, I believe, for Marshall is maybe leaving that program, going on to greener pastures. And it's going to be interesting because I think ULL really comes into this one and lays the wood. That's just kind of where I'm at. Some sharper money are on the over, but I think that the Cajuns are the right side. 5.5 is a big number, so it's a teaser leg for me. Outside of that, if you want to lay the 5.5, this one could get ugly. We'll see what happens, but for me and my money, I think Louisiana is the right side, okay? So that's kind of where we're at. Two more to get into. Clemson, SMU. If you have not watched SMU football this year, make sure you tune into this game. Very impressive club. And the one thing I want to share with you guys in this game is kind of interesting how we're seeing the number here. We have not seen SMU flash a number. I've been waiting kind of possibly to see what happens if we do get to -3 for SMU, but we have not got it on the market yet. And I think the sharper side is Clemson, but I test kind of just going with the flashier side too. I mean, I hate to do it, but I'm on SMU -2.5. I'd have this game closer to touchdown. I've watched Clemson play a lot of football. I just don't see it with them. And talk about pure anarchy. If Clemson was able to win this game and get into the college football playoff, winning the ACC, that would be very, very interesting. A lot of shakeups, but this is one where I do see the potential for points. I don't know what tricks Dabo will have up his sleeve. Very vanilla offensively. Clemson, though, recently has kind of stuck in that mindset. I mean, they have not really eclipsed outside of the blowouts against poorer competition. It's very hard for a Clemson game to go into the 40s or even 50s. It happens, but I just don't see it. And in SMU, they scored points in bunches. So the real storyline right now is how the SMU high-flying offense handles that Clemson defensive front seven and that defensive line that they kind of pride themselves on, okay? That's what it comes down to. Who wins that side of the ball up front is really going to take control of this game. The only thing I really wonder is if SMU gets up to 14, 17 points in this game, Clemson just doesn't have the firepower, and this game could get ugly. I personally think it's a bad number. I'll die with it. I'll take SMU -2.5. It's a little bit fishy. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit fishy. I've been waiting to see threes. We have not got a 3, and there has to be a reason why. But, for me and my money, this number's pretty much held true at 2.5. At face value, I would have thought that SMU would have been the sharper side, but seemingly the odds makers are reluctant to give Clemson a field goal in this spot. However, I just think it's a bad number. I think SMU gets this one done potentially by double digits, okay? And then the last and final game, Penn State and Oregon, okay? We'll see what happens, but Oregon, the only unbeaten team in college football, they look to be, in my opinion, the class entering the college football playoff. So kind of going to be interesting, though, what happens if Penn State wins this game in terms of seeding, right? I haven't really done in too much of my research on it, but does Penn State get the number one? Well, it wouldn't be number one, but Do they slide into that top 4? I personally think the 12-team playoff format, how they do the top 4 at-large kind of buys, I think that's just kind of horrendous. I think it's a horrible format. There's never going to be a format that's okay with me that you could potentially have Boise State and SMU getting first-round buys in a field of 12 where probably 10 of the 12 teams could absolutely clean their clocks. But this is not something where it's going to apply every year, but there's just no reason in hell. It's kind of almost punishment for the kind of upper tier, higher, established, I guess you'd say, like more hyped up teams, bigger fan bases, the media teams, right? Because everybody talks about this, the college football playoff games. It's just basically another movie ticket, right? They want to sell tickets. They want to print money, and having 4 games now to win and crown a champion is definitely how you do it. I just think that they have it ass backwards. And, the Notre Dame conference argument's a bunch of baloney because just like you're seeing here, Oregon's clearly the best team in the country. But if they lose to Penn State's really done nothing on the season, and they're going to slide above a lot of teams that, quite frankly, should not be in front of. So we'll see what happens. What happens if Texas loses today? Going to have chaos at that bottom of the board. There are some anarchy situations where will be fun to watch on Tuesday when they do their selections. But for me, guys, this is a clear play in terms of this Penn State game. I want to talk about why. I'm going to be all over it. The late game, we are taking the over. And I just really have a very hard time for my money to back James Franklin, right? Hey, it's Franklin, but not happening today. Ducks roll. They've gotten better every single game of the season. That's something that's very hard to do. Very impressed with the Ducks. I'm probably the only person in the country that thinks that the loss that Ohio State had at Oregon was probably, in some form or fashion, the worst game that they played all season. I know that seems kind of crazy, but you have to get it done in all 3 phases, and I think that what Oregon was able to do, creating special teams turnovers, really was the difference. And I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. Will Howard is just not the guy for the Buckeyes. And we'll see how that shapes out. But I just truly feel that way. I think that Oregon had a few scares along the way, but, looking back on that game, giving up 31 points to the Buckeyes and should have lost, quite frankly. Should have lost by a late field goal, 34-32. And I just don't see it. I mean, Penn State going against the Buckeyes here, 20-13. I think it's all the same. I think that we get Penn State a very hard kind of task for Penn State to score. So I would potentially look into Penn State under their team total. And I do like the Oregon Ducks in this game. I think this number is way too low. Give me a field goal. I'll lay it. I'll take a juiced up -3 with Oregon in the spot. And I know you can probably look at this game and see that see the way the money split. And I'll show it to you guys before I sign off. But overwhelmingly kind of in favor of the Ducks. We'll see if that changes throughout the day. Follow not just follow the money, but follow the number, right? Just like this Clemson SMU game. With the amount of money and everybody that's taking SMU, I just really find it hard to believe that we have not hit a 3 in the market. Maybe it bounces back and forth, but that's the fishy spot for me. I just don't trust it. So just give you guys a quick recap. Good luck with your picks. If you haven't done so, please subscribe down below. Also, feel free to join us on X. The handle is on the bottom left. I do have a free Discord as well. Appreciate you giving me about 15-20 minutes of your time to talk some football on this Saturday. But we will go Miami of Ohio. That is my first bet I'll have, -2.5. We will take the under in Georgia and Texas. I took the under 51, also laying the 2.5 with SMU, and I will be on the Oregon Ducks. Some form or fashion, I haven't made up my mind yet. We do have an 8 o'clock kickoff, so I kind of want to see how this money flows throughout the day, but I will be betting this. It's either going to be Penn State under their team total. It's either going to be Oregon in terms of the full game over with the Ducks in some kind of same game teaser. I think that Oregon gets over. They kind of pull the weight in this game. I think that Penn State Great defense, but I just don't think it's going to stack up with the Ducks. I think they get into the end zone, and I will take a dive into their team total because I don't like it, I don't trust it, but I do see an avenue where Oregon definitely goes over their side of the argument, and that's what will push this game over 50 and a half. Okay, those are my best bets. Appreciate you guys. Good luck with your picks. If you have any questions, you want to just shoot the shit, I'll be over on Discord all day. Staying safe and watching football. All right, we'll see you guys all tomorrow. Hockey picks and what we'll be doing for NFL soon to come. All right, have a great rest of your day. Cheers.